Hey guys, it's Pat Stedman. Thanks for stopping by for this training. Um, Hope you guys make sure you guys get all settled. You have some coffee or some water or something. Get nice and comfy and cozy before we dive into this. This training's about transactional dating versus quality dating. So it's a different take from most of the dating advice you hear out there, which is very much about making things into a numbers game. We're going to talk about a different approach that will make modern dating a lot easier for you, a lot less effort with a lot better results. I know that sounds hard to believe, so let's dive in and I'll show you what I mean. So, can dating really be easier? And the answer is a resounding yes. You don't have to waste days swiping on Tinder or doing what a lot of the game gurus say and practicing cold approaching nonstop to make it happen. So the reason you should stick around, what I'm going to teach you is not really common. You have a lot of different areas that purport to tell you the truth about women. They teach you how to play a game, but they don't teach you how to make the rules. And we're going to talk about how to shift things around so you're not the one who's constantly in this position of chasing and having to pursue and making all this effort. I've worked with scores of guys, almost 100 at this point, and no, clinically this approach you're about to discover works. Overcomes transactional dating. My own story is a case study. I was in the pickup world for years, very familiar with these different ideas, and I've used some of them. A lot of them are integrated in here, but it's still a different system. And picked up some other things, created some of my own ideas, and used them to start dating really high quality women and ultimately marry a beautiful, kind, loyal woman. And I can tell you, if I was single now, I'd have no problem getting into a relationship like this again, because just once you internalize these ideas, it's like playing the game on easy, and you have a much better understanding of things. So, in this training, you'll get nothing but the truth. I don't mince words or tell you what you want to hear. This isn't a victim spot. And frankly, these ideas go way beyond women. When you understand a lot of these ideas in here, you're going to have a more confident, upgraded version of yourself in general. You'll see it reflect in many different areas of your life. So, little, questionnaire for yourself. Is transactional dating suffocating your dating life? It's a yes if you like women or you want to like women, but you're worried you don't anymore. And I get this. A lot of guys out there have been really burned by girls, and, I would be full of crap if I was telling you that, modern women today are kind, innocent little creatures who, do everything great and make dating easy for guys and don't lie and cheat. That would be a lie to tell you that this wasn't the experience. I mean, flaking is common, right? Getting blown off. And if you have this sense that something's broken in modern dating, maybe culture at large, you're probably, suffocating from transactional dating. That's kind of the modern dating experience, is transactional dating. So if you think things are broken, it's because you're stuck in that system. Things are broken, by the way, but there's two different games you can play. So we'll talk about that. You're looking for a meaningful relationship now or in the future. You don't have to want it at the time, so long as you just want to upgrade the quality of the girls you're dating. The point here is to move away from things that are very, very superficial, right? So if you want a meaningful relationship, then you're having a hard time getting it. It's transactional dating, right? You'd like to date more women, but you want to enjoy your time with them more. And so this is not an anti-even player mindset, but it's an anti-collecting notches mindset, which is a very It's a very dehumanizing way of looking at things. If you are all about collecting notches, you're in the wrong place. So get out. If you want to date more women, but they want them to be cool women and you guys have a good connection, and you don't have to worry about any of that false rape accusation stuff because you guys have a good, healthy, honest dynamic, then this is a good spot to be in. You're unimpressed with most mainstream dating advice, but don't mesh with the negativity in circles like the Red Pill. Red Pill's got some very solid ideas and understanding about macro dynamics between men and women. Idea of hypergamy, etc. More stuff we'll talk about later in this training, but very negative space as well, and doesn't really teach you how to get out of the game or teach you how to play a new game, right? It just teaches you how to play the old game well, which some guys think is the only way, and fair enough, but it's not. You can have a better way. So, to continue, you still might not be ready for this, even if you mess with all the stuff I was saying, more or less. Look, there's a couple fundamental things you got to get put together. If your financial or employment situation is bad, you're not going to get the full value out of this that you otherwise could. These are just essential fundamentals. Because not only is the training not free, right? There's that aspect of it, something we'll talk about much more towards the end. But women need you to have your life together. It's very, very difficult to be a successful guy with women when your financial situation is really poor. I know it's a problem facing a lot of guys, and I feel for you, and this is stuff that's, it's going to be available for you when you get that area of your life handled. But until that gets handled, then that should be your priority right before women. Like, don't put the cart before the horse. Similarly, if you're really out of shape, you don't have to look like a model, but if you're really overweight or, don't know how to dress properly, these are like things that you really should tackle first, because women care about looks. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot of marketers out there who will tell you, you can be old, obese, and still pull models with this one weird trick. I mean, I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. This is important. You don't have to be super fit, right? You should be aiming for that because your body is your temple, and it certainly helps with not only women but everything in life. But as long as you've got an okay physique, right? That's it. We just need to control the variable to make it not bad, right? And the final one, if you're unwilling to change, like if you're watching this and you're hoping I'm going to tell you everything that is going to make life easy for you and you're not going to have to do any work, then, again, I'm not here to screw around. I'm not here to tell you guys made up shit, right? Just sign off. There's somebody who will take your money, who is going to be, completely tell you that everything's easy. If you just follow my script, it's not going to be a problem. I'm trying to work with guys who really want to change their lives and are willing to work at it. So if you're not committed, you're not ready. So, all right, now that's all out of the way. Do you enjoy modern dating? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about me. When I was out dating, I suffered through all these problems earlier on when I didn't figure out my current system. No matter how many girls I'd meet, I'd struggle to connect. Was constantly stressed out. I wasn't good enough for women. It's like women had the frame and the interaction. I believe the only way to get a woman to like me was to impress them. Conversations were boring. I felt like I was having the same experience over and over, and each interaction with a girl was a big game. I just felt like I could never really be real. And I put all the effort into these interactions, and girls would still flake, they'd ghost, I'd waste my time texting with all these techniques, and it would just be going nowhere. And if a girl did like me, it was because, well, I didn't really like her, and I had run game on her, and, so then I had to kind of make the decision, do I want to hook up with a girl I don't really like because she's insecure, and I really felt helpless that dating was a numbers game, and you never really have a good interaction with a girl. You could have, like, okay interactions, some better than others, but, like, to even get that, you had to constantly be out and meeting more and more girls, and it's like a full-time job. But it doesn't have to be this way, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But before we jump in, imagine for a second what your dating life would look like if you could strongly meet 2 to 3 women per month you connect strongly with, who are girlfriend material, don't flake on dates, add tremendous value to your life, and who don't require you to do any swiping on apps, seduction routines, or even much approaching in general to meet. I know that's a really serious claim, right? I don't take that lightly. But when you get to peak performance with this, that's the reality, right? The reality is that you'll be meeting a solid girl pretty much every week, and a girl who's girlfriend material maybe twice a year, right? 2 to 3 times a year. That's the truth. Now, I'm not saying that it happens overnight, right? I want to caveat this, but if you internalize the system, then this will be your reality. So keep that in mind, because that could be you. You could be meeting 3 women per month who you have a strong connection with, and who you could date for months on end, have great sex, have great romantic experiences, experience intimacy. It's pretty cool. So, transactional dating versus quality dating. The difference. Transactional dating. You always feel like you have to approach new girls. No choice which girls respond to you. You take what you can get. Women won't meet you again after the first date or hookups. Constantly focus on outcomes. Have an extremely low ratio of approaches, interactions leading to dates. Feel like you have to fake it to attract women. No matter how much you date, you never feel like you have control. Don't feel anything deep for the women you meet. Your way of interacting with women is too complex, relies on routines. Look at dating fundamentally as a numbers game. Remember that, numbers game. Quality dating. In contrast, you can meet great women almost anywhere. If you want a girlfriend or a passionate fling, you can find it. You have more sex and better sex for less effort. Wow. Dating is part of your life, not your life. You have complete confidence in your ability to not only attract, but lock down beautiful, dependable women. You like and trust the women you date. You have no fears about walking away if a woman bothers you. Never get cheated on, abused, or left for other guys. You experience respect, admiration, and appreciation from all women in your life. Big difference, right? Now, quick check-in. Have you experienced any of these problems? Do you get inside your head when it's time to approach a girl? No matter how many women you meet, you just can't seem to make any headway with them. Dates are boring. You find it difficult to have good conversations or connect. You want a girlfriend, but you feel like modern women just don't have much to offer. You feel like your self-worth is determined by what women think of you. You pursue women you don't even really like just because they like you. You're attracting damaged women who have all sorts of problems. You're only dating women that don't appreciate you, waste your time. You've been flaked on or cheated on in past relationships. Well, if that sounds like you, you're going to love the training. The 3 elements of quality dating. So, what guys who enjoy their dating life do, which makes it easy and effortless to attract and keep the women they want. The first element of quality dating, curiosity. So, what do I mean by curiosity? Why does curiosity matter? Curiosity makes it so that you never have to worry about what to say. It brings a playfulness out of both you and women. It unleashes your creativity and intuition, which makes conversation interesting. So no more small talk, don't have to worry about that. It keeps you present in the interaction. Comes across as genuine and natural, and it makes your game extra effective. So you don't have to really worry about routines anymore. curious guy can approach. So this is, paying attention to what she's wearing, how she carries herself. Basically, like, what is it about this girl that makes you want to approach her to begin with, right? So you just pay attention to these, like her body language, all these sort of overt things, and you connect, right? So she's saying things, and you're interested in what she's saying, and this makes you interesting to her because you're asking good questions or making good assumptions. And when you make questions, it's not, people get stuck into this, like, work like or small talk like connecting, where you ask factual questions. When you have curiosity, you're not just trying to collect facts. You really want to understand something you want to understand somebody else. So every question has this why behind them. It's like you're not just, oh, she's from Iowa. Like, you want to know what it was like growing up in Iowa, right? These are the kind of things that you play off of. And then you can guide the interaction. So you can really take it anywhere you want because your curiosity directs things. And in curiosity, your interest is contagious, and so it'll make her feel special and will also bring out her own curiosity about you. So there's a bit of a feedback thing here and there, but you can take the conversation in multiple different directions, because when you're curious, you're also leading, right? You're leading the conversation because you're directing what the topic is. And then you can convert these interactions. So you can go really deep with women while keeping it fun, which is a very difficult skill to make, that balancing that lightness and weight. And this creates tons of mystery, rapport, and, one thing that I never really get is, well, I do get it, I suppose, because I came through that community, but, you have these guys who are like, how do you get a number? And here's this foolproof way to get a number. And it's like, getting a number isn't a big deal, because if you connect with a girl, getting a number is just a natural way of continuing the conversation. So the last couple of years I was doing this, I don't think I had a single number ever flake on me. I mean, that's like, they would always respond when I texted. It wasn't, no dead numbers, right? No dead numbers. That's what curiosity does. So, how would it feel to not only be the most interesting man in the room, but one of the most interesting men she's ever met? If you're curious, you'll never be boring, right? So, if the conversation dies or the connection doesn't happen, you'll know it's not on you. Curious guys are never considered to be boring guys, right? Because curiosity is the antithesis of boring. So, what if you're not curious? Well, people aren't usually curious because they're afraid. They're in their head, they're not in the present moment. So they're thinking about what they should say versus what they want to say. They're thinking about what is going to most attract her instead of what they're most interested in. And it's this kind of problem, but that keeps guys from becoming not curious, right? But everybody has the capacity to be curious. Everybody does. So it's not something that you have to stress about. The system will take care of it. We'll bring that out of you. But curiosity is only one small portion. It's the first part. It's very important, but it's not the only part of what you need to switch to quality dating. So we'll move to element 2. What is the real difference between men who chase and men who are chased? And hint, it's not that they're wealthy, attractive, or have perfect game. It's that they have standards. So the second element of quality dating is standards, the purpose of standards. And no, it's not just getting a girlfriend. Frame versus game. So a game is a tactical thing. It tells a guy how to attract a girl, but frame dictates whether the girl is worth attracting, right? Frame is a strategy, while game is tactics. So most guys who are involved with trying to improve with women focus on how they should attract girl, and not whether they should attract certain girls. That's important right there. So really internalize that. Why is this girl worth attracting? What does this girl have that's so valuable vis-a-vis you? The truth is, if you try to attract every woman, you'll convey desperation and it'll make it difficult to attract any woman. So the person most willing to leave the interaction controls the frame and thus the interaction. So you got to have the frame, right? If you're a dating guru and you don't have the frame with girls, you know, you can win a million battles, but you'll never win the war. And these are the guys who are like hardcore pickup oriented, really good at talking to girls, but still have girls flake out. And they have all these really elaborate and, well put together routines. It's difficult. It's a skill you learn, and it doesn't have to be that challenging, right? Women and men are always supposed to connect, and you don't need to have this elaborate ritual or routine to try to pull them in. You just need to have the frame, right? Game's important, but frame is more important. So it also affects your standards, because if you don't have frame, you don't have standards, and that means you won't turn away women who are bad for you. We'll talk more about bad women later on in this presentation, but just keep that in mind for now. So if you don't have standards, you don't have quality, right? You don't get what you don't ask for. Standards are attractive. They tell women that you're confident in yourself and you know what you want, right? So paradoxically, it makes them more willing to give you what you want. You push girls away, they come towards you. Yes, having standards will make you lose some women at the cost of attracting other women who you're more connected to much more strongly. It sounds like a win to me, unless you have some sort of mental baggage that you're afraid of someone not liking you. So standards focus your mind on women you want to attract, which makes you able to find more high-quality women than otherwise. And this is backed by science. It's a thing called the reticular activating system. So if you notice something, let's say you notice a car, you want to buy a car, and you're interested in this kind of BMW, and you're going to start seeing that BMW on the road everywhere you go, right? That's a fact. It's part of your brain. It's part of your hindbrain, I believe, and it focuses you on what you want, right? So some people talk about this like the law of attraction, but there's scientific basis to it, and it applies with standards, because if you're looking for women who meet a certain criteria, you'll start to see those women. They've maybe been around you before, and you didn't notice them. Or maybe you are drawing them to you. I don't know. All I know is it works. But you need to have standards for it to happen. So, about standards. Some are general. They concern just basic behavior and human decency. Others are more specific and subjective, based on your own values and personality compatibility. So, when we say a girl isn't high quality, we're both saying perhaps that she isn't high quality objectively, but perhaps only subjectively. Maybe she's not high quality for you, right? So people shouldn't take it too personally. But some girls, though, do have problems, and you want to avoid them on a general basis. And the only reason you wouldn't is that you have those problems yourself. That's a separate issue. But standards do require you to judge women. I mean, that doesn't mean being mean. Affirm them when you guys, fit well together. Politely excuse yourself if you do not. You don't have to, there are some tactical aspects to negging and whatnot. But really, on a fundamental level, the stronger your frame, the more muted you can be about these things. And unless a girl is crossing your boundaries, you don't need to be a bad person. You don't need to lower her. She's just not a good fit, and move on. So, on this note, standards should be mostly implicit, right? So you don't really want to verbalize standards, because then you're going to be subcommunicating that you need someone to adhere to them, right? So if you tell a girl, like, I have really high standards, that means, like, it's kind of like bravado, right? So the subcommunication isn't really strong. Just a little thing to keep in mind. So what's the number one source of low standards for men? They put pussy on a pedestal. Probably heard that term before. Not politically correct, but it's the truth. Transactional dating is dating to get laid, which means it's dating out of a need for pussy. And sad truth is, most men today care much more about sex than their own self-respect. They'll put up with anything to get laid, which ensures they get neither, or they get sex, it takes a lot of work, right? Guys who have great game and are physically attractive, though, they can win this transactional dating game, but although they get laid, women only love them for their own validation. So it's kind of like, this is when you're using each other. So if you're a good-looking guy, you got good game, you get a, attractive girl who's got good game, you guys are just in this validation cycle. And this is a relationship a lot of guys tend to aspire towards, and it's one that a lot of red pill guys think is like, the ideal, that if you act in, this alpha way, you'll keep that girl. But it's true, but, you can't ever reveal yourself to that girl because she's looking for the fake fix, just like you are. And so these are the guys who are like, man, I get all these women, but I can't fall in love, right? Well, they're in the transactional dating game. They might be winning the transactional dating game, and that's a hard thing for them to understand because no one wants to quit a game they're winning, right? But the truth is, even when you're winning on a high level with transactional dating, it's not really fulfilling. And that's why I've worked with some clients who are, multimillionaires. Really, I'm not just I'm not just saying that. They have their fair selection of women. They've got tons and tons of girls who are, would just jump at them in a moment's notice, right? But they don't want that. It gets tiring. It gets tiring after a while. But part of them's still addicted to it and can't seem to allow their true nature to come out, right? So, developing standards forces you to turn away most women, which means that the women you do attract, you'll attract strongly, which means you'll have more choices for less effort. So, speaking of which, the 5 tiers of women. This is a system I developed, and clients have found it extremely helpful. So the lowest tier, tier 5, these are women you don't like or respect. You talk to them, you're like, man, this girl's she's a bitch, right? I don't like her. But if you're a guy who's oriented towards sex and she's attractive, you might think to yourself, well, I'm still going to try to hook up with her. Okay? It's pathetic, if you ask me. But a lot of guys do this because they care about the notch and they care about the lay and it's their ego. And you can have transactional sex with these girls. You just put up a fake persona, but the problem is like, especially in the bedroom, there tends to be very little chemistry. It tends to even be a little bit awkward because you guys are just, there's something very, very fake and disconnected going on. And it's just kind of dark and it's not pleasant. And tier 4 is your average woman. There's just no connection, but maybe, you were at a bar and you were both drinking and, both wanted to hook up, so you flirted and it happened. The next morning, it's either a little bit awkward or just a little bit, polite, but there's no connection, right? You wake up the next morning, you're like, okay, just want to get this girl out of here. Then she usually feels the same way. So then you have tier 3. Tier 3, now you start to have a little bit of natural attraction. But it's not enough to, like, go on dates with or spend, like a regular time with. But these are people who maybe in certain situations you have a strong chemistry or maybe you were on, like, a trip together and it's kind of like a fuck buddy kind of thing, right? Based on the environment, you guys have some sexual chemistry, but not really maybe much else. Then you have tier 2, and this is different. Now you're starting to get, like, to some strong attraction. This is a girl that, and sometimes these dynamics, the girl will make you she'll think that you guys should be together, right? But this is when there's strong attraction, but you can tell that it's not like a perfect dynamic. Like, you don't want to commit, right? But you've got some good intimacy going on. You guys can date for months. These are the kind of girls that work very well in a harem rotation, and they're very nice. These girls, you remember these girls, they may not be life-changing, but they're really enjoyable. They're really enjoyable girls. And then tier 1, these are, intense natural chemistry, easy dynamics, and you guys will just try to spend as much time as possible with each other. This is deep intimacy, and almost always you'll get into a relationship with a girl like this. So those are the 5 tiers. So men with standards, they don't date any women in tier 4 or 5. So all the sort of like pickup things like this girl's attractive, how to game her, no. No. You have to figure out whether or not you even want to game that girl. So maybe you go and approach her if you get a good vibe from her. And then you determine from there whether you want anything else, to continue. Okay? If she falls in the tier 4, tier 5, she's just out of the picture, right? Because you have self-respect and you don't put pussy on a pedestal. Instead, you focus on tier 1 and tier 2 and maybe tier 3, right? Maybe certain situations for tier 3. But, it's really like you're either focusing on getting a girlfriend where you orient yourselves only towards tier 1, or you focus on, just having some fun girls to pass the time that you really enjoy spending time with, tier 2, right? And maybe you'll pull in some tier 3 in the process, but you orient yourself towards only people you want to be around, right? That's the point. Only people you want to be around, only people whose interactions are affirming to you. But to do this, you need standards, because you got to reject other women. Like, you're not going to be able to reject them if you don't have a standard in which to reject them by. And if you don't do this, you're going to lose bandwidth, and the quality women are going to see it. They're going to see you're a guy who just tries to fuck anything that moves, and they're not going to be attracted. So, won't work out very well. So, what if you don't have standards? Well, every guy has standards. Problem is that you're just too afraid of rejection to live by them. You put that pussy on a pedestal, right? You're needy. And this can change. If you go through deep work, we can, this is something I do with my clients. We examine these limiting beliefs and we resolve them, right? We get everything sorted out, because you'll have two different beliefs that have often opposite agendas against each other, and we'll figure out, well, why do I believe this and this when they don't work with each other? And then you realize, well, one of these is based on trauma or something, or what, etc. And it's like, okay, that belief is wrong, right? That belief I've had that belief for the wrong reason. And then you stop fighting against yourself, and you can really start to own what you want, right? So confident guys automatically set standards because they believe they deserve to get what they want, right? That's just the truth. Confident guys are always setting standards. They're always putting up boundaries. And fine-tuning those standards is just a matter of observation and experience, which is a big part of element 3. But before we go into element 3, let's put together what we've got at the moment. So curiosity plus standards equals an excellent dating life. So you got these two things, it'll set you far above the competition. I mean, this will get you pretty close to high-quality dating. Because curiosity means you'll be able to effortlessly attract women who are good fits for you, navigate conversations, approach, figure out attraction dynamics. And standards means that you'll be confident and push away the women who aren't good fits, keeping the energy focused on the ones that treat you well. So what else do you need? Well, this is the dark truth no one in the dating world wants to talk about. Most dating advice is centered around getting laid or getting a girlfriend. And most of this advice is focused on the transactional numbers game we've already talked about. It's not, as we've said, it's not the smart guy's approach. So people might touch upon curiosity as part of game, right? They might say, oh, well, if you're curious in this part of the interaction, you can, attract her. Or in some rare cases, maybe they'll even talk about standards as part of frame. You got to qualify a girl, right? But no one discusses what's ruined so many charming, confident guys, and what's made modern romance really a morass of divorce, cheating, and emotionally abusive horror stories. And that's a lack of awareness. Even the best players don't talk about awareness, and that's a big problem. And it's because they don't know how. So in the dating jungle, a lack of awareness kills. Now what do I mean about awareness? Well, the truth is, it doesn't matter how easily you can attract women, and it doesn't matter what you aren't willing to tolerate from women if you can't see what women are lying to you. Women have their own version of game, and if you're not aware of it, you will get manipulated, used, and abused, even when you thought you had the frame. Okay, I'll tell you right now, a lot of guys think they found a tier 1 woman. No. They found a girl who's maybe tier 2 or whatever, who's tier 3, who's just running some serious game on them, creating a fantasy for them, and they're falling for the fantasy. It's very bad because you commit to a fantasy and the fantasy disappears and then you're stuck, right? You're stuck with this person, you're in love with a fantasy, and maybe you've, committed yourself financially to it. And there's so many guys who have experienced this problem. I mean, now, you have a whole rise of sugar babies, and the dating world's gotten really dark. And if you don't have awareness, if you don't have discernment, right, ability to see what's going on underneath the surface, you're screwed, right? You're going to say, you know what? You're going to be like a lot of these red pill guys, and you're going to say, you know what? I'm just going to stick with the transactional game I know, because if I treat every woman like that, I'm not going to get burned. Well, you also won't have anything really awesome or rejuvenating, and you won't have any trust in your relationship. That kind of sucks, but yeah, you can always, keep women at arm's length your entire life. Or you can learn some freaking discernment, get some awareness, understand what's going on. Because a lot of women know exactly how to trick and seduce men into committing to them, to thinking they fit their standards even as they cheat on them on the side. And even the best women have a dark side that you have to be aware of. So, don't be naive going into this. The two basic forms of awareness you must master. Now, credit where it's due, biological awareness. This is a lot of what the red pill guys talk about. You need to understand that women are hypergamous, right? They date across and up. So if you're less successful than them, they're going to start to move away from you. They're opportunistic sexually, some more than others, but they all have the impulse. Just like men have the impulse to be with younger, more attractive and fertile women than older women, right? But it is an impulse, and you have to know about it. You have to know what triggers a woman's attraction, and you have to constantly keep those triggers activated, or you can expect some stress on your relationship and expect her behavior to change, and perhaps in a very bad way. And then you have to understand psychological awareness. And this is really important, right? That women also they have their same biological imperative, but they also have different personality types. And understanding a woman's personality type and understanding a woman's, background, right? Things that have happened to her, the health of her personality, will help you to understand what her needs are and how she'll act under stress and whether she's really a good person to date at all. So, and then an advanced form of awareness is subcommunication. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, but this is beyond psychological and biological profiling. Subcommunication is very tactical, right? It helps you to see what people are doing, what people think under the surface. So they'll do a certain action, but and overtly it might mean something, but it actually implies something else. And untrained eyes almost always miss these cues. Something I'm very good at. I practiced it a lot. I've read a lot about it. I've done it, in field, always trying to understand what's going on with a girl. But most guys just are totally clueless with subcommunication, and that's why they get burned. Like, I can tell when a girl's running game on me. I can tell what her intention is, and I teach my clients how to learn these things, right? So sometimes this creates an opportunity cost because, sometimes you see a woman who's great and she likes you, but you just can't read the signs that she's interested, right? She's giving you some eye contact across the room, and you miss her, you misinterpret it. Women have their subtle ways of communicating. And sometimes it means that you misread when a woman is, opportunistic and out to try to get something out of you. And then you let a fox in the hen house, so to speak. And this can cause you severe emotional and often financial pain. So you got to learn to read these patterns so that you can filter out these charlatans and ensure you're only ever dating high quality, ethical women. So what if you don't have awareness? Well, sorry to say, you're subjecting yourself to an enormous amount of risk. Good people routinely have their lives destroyed because they can't see what others are all about. And this happens to men all the time in the dating world. You have to be aware of the signs people are giving you if you want to know what's really going on in your head. This applies to friendships too, not just women. You have really bad friends around you, guys who are, who are in a bad place or who have an axe to grind or who are resentful of you. You miss all these things, right? You miss them, and and you suffer for missing him, man. You gotta learn to read people's minds. And it's not just about the bad eggs, like good people, even good people, fundamentally good people. If they're in a bad spot, you can see what something could happen to them, right? They could act a certain way towards you. So you have to, a guy getting out of a rough breakup in a marriage, right? You bring him into your house, and he's always had a very warm, flirtatious relationship with your woman, but it was friendly, right? Well, now that before, which was something to keep in mind, right, wasn't entirely innocent, something to keep in mind. Now he could be in a place to be predatory because he might resent you and your relationship, and so he may try to make a move. So always got to keep in mind about these things, understand how people think, and it's super important with women. Super important with women. But if you develop it and you're curious and you have standards, I mean, your curiosity is going to tell you which women to approach, and if there's a possibility of connection, it's going to make it happen, right? Your standards are going to make sure that your mind's strong, you're non-needy during the interaction, and you create deeper attraction because, she feels the strength, and she feels that she has to meet your standards, and your awareness will make sure that when a girl is like actually not meeting your standards, when she's just pretending, what she's thinking, what kind of game she's running, and also allows you to know what kind of game will work on her, right? So what she'll respond positively to. And most importantly, is she a good person or not? Like, is she the kind of girl that you want to spend a long time with? And what kind of stuff does she need if she's going to stay loyal or if she's going to stay committed? But if you develop all of these things, you're going to have a top 1% dating life, man. I mean, you're never going to have to worry about women in any capacity again. Ever. I mean that. Doesn't matter whether you want a harem or a relationship. You're going to be set. Done with the dating scene. Okay? So, these are some things from, former clients I threw together. From Sean, working with Pat, one of the best investments I ever made. All my calls with Pat, we work through these beliefs and dismantle them as they come up. It's a difficult process, but, challenges long-held beliefs, ton of emotional baggage, and it's talking about how it's going to compound over time. And that's something I've really noticed is that the deep work I do with clients, you see over, we'll work together for a couple of months, but, and there's results then, right? They feel way different from when we first start working together. But within a year, it's like, whoa, things are completely different. A lot of these guys within a year or 2 years, all of their dating problems are completely resolved for good. And they're like those top 1% we were talking about in the slide before, because, look, I'm not going to BS you here. Deep work, it's not overnight, but it does shift. It does make big shifts. It's like, you got to think of it like moving a big ship around, right? It takes time. It's not like a little speedboat, but when you're going the right direction, then you start to get momentum going that direction. So this is another client, H. This talks about, it's a long block here. Actually, the testimonial was even longer, but I clipped this last section of it. And basically, this is a guy, pretty much no experience with girls, and he had pretty much a girl addicted to him after starting to apply the system. A girl that was going to put him in the friend zone before. So, and then after that, it's like he started to notice all these other girls around him that were interested, and he knew what to do to make moves. So I used to get so nervous around attractive girls because I wanted to be liked, but now I reorient myself, so I just act and express myself naturally. And he was a real success. So choices. These are the 3 elements of quality dating. Ball's in your court. Do you want to continue playing the numbers game, chasing women, worrying about being liked and risking emotional abuse? Or do you want to remove transactionality from dating? You want to know your value, you can recognize and attract the women you want, never worry about droughts or dry spells, and eliminate fears of lies or infidelity because nothing surprises you. Choice number 1, back to life as usual. Back to chasing women, back to endless approaches, or at least thinking you have to do it. Back to worrying about saying the right thing, back to awkward conversations and rejections, back to a scarcity attitude around sex, back to feeling like crap about yourself when a girl doesn't like you, back to flaking and ghosting by every girl you show the least bit of emotion to, back to getting blindsided by the girl you like that she's into another guy. Happens. Back to games and drama. And look, guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. If you like that life and you want to try to play that game, well, it's not my problem. You can do that. It's your life. But there's another option. You can make this a defining moment. You can say, I've had enough of bad interactions with girls I don't like. I'm tired of wasting time on dating apps or approaching uninterested girls. I'm tired of feeling weak around women, needing validation from them. And I'm tired of spinning my wheels with emotional games. You decide what you want control over your dating life, to become someone who doesn't need to dedicate his life to meeting girls. But if he sees a girl who stands out to him, he can talk to her naturally, see what kind of person she is, and know not only whether he should pursue her, but how to attract and keep her. You can say, I want to change how I interact with women because you've done it for yourself, Pat, and for countless others, and I know you can do it for me too. And I can, right? You know, we talked about what were the reasons you shouldn't be here. If you pass that checkpoint, then I can get this for you. I can make it happen for you. I need your help. I need you to invest. I need you to put some work in. But working together, we'll get that 180 progress that you've been looking for. You can stop wasting time overthinking and staying in your head. So don't let this just be another moment where you learn something, walk away, never utilize it, never fully grasp its power to take you where you want to go. You can take instead the easier, faster way, which is mentorship from somebody who has a proven roadmap to follow, constantly on the cutting edge, people who have actually done it for themselves and multitudes of others. Because, you know, unless you're overweight, poor, living with your parents in your 30s, this is completely in your control. And by the way, that stuff's in your control too. You can fix all that stuff, but fix it first before you come here, right? Get your finances and autonomy taken care of. Get your body out of an unhealthy state, and then put the focus on women. So what's it going to be, door 1 or door 2? Because if it's door 2, I have an opportunity for you. Over the next week, I've set aside some time. We'll talk about for 30, 45 minutes, really depends on the client situation. And based on the 3 elements of quality dating we talked about today, we're going to shed some light on some issues that are holding you back from reaching your romantic goals and we'll get you to the dating life you want. And we'll see if it makes sense to work together one-on-one so you have hands-on guidance through the process. You'll have full access to me during it, right? Or at least with one of the packages, we work together on a retainer basis. So, you know, it's a big investment by me. So there's not a guarantee that if you fill out an application that I'm going to work with you. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I have turned down applications, and I have talked with guys and found that maybe they weren't didn't have some of the criteria I mentioned above met, so they weren't, you know, the right fit or didn't have the right sort of philosophy. But you know, if we are a good fit, I'm going to make that invitation to you, and there's no pressure. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. It's up to you. But you know, I would encourage you that if you want to change this, this is an opportunity, right? Time is precious. Every minute you spend, you know, every month you spend is probably the better way to look at it. Every month you spend, you know, not getting your dating life taken care of is a month that you don't have with a woman, could be the woman of your dreams, or, you know, with a bunch of different girls who are all life affirming. It's just wasted time and mediocrity. So I don't really get it, because I always invest in myself. But, you know, and the truth is that this brief call, right, it always provides value, because even just me trying to understand where you're at provides clarity for you. So, you know, again, get your life together beforehand, but, if you're financially struggling, it's not going to be the right time for you, because working with me does cost money, and it's not cheap, right? It's an investment. It's definitely affordable for your average person. It's certainly not, out of control, and it's definitely priced per value. But yeah, it does cost money. So if you don't have any money, then it's probably not the time to fill out an application. Just stay on the email list and keep getting some good content. And, it won't change your life like coaching, but it'll, when you get that together, you can reach out again, then we can work together. You don't have to have a ton of experience with women, but if you have severe social anxiety, and I mean like severe social anxiety, it's probably not the best fit. The reason being, I don't work with people in person, and so if you can't be relied on to go and talk to people, like if you need someone to kind of push you to talk to people, then you're not going to get as much value out of it as you otherwise might. If you're somebody who's happy to take action but need help understanding things, you need help optimizing, that's perfect fit for me, right? Because I will make sure every interaction you have, you get all the wisdom squeezed out of it. But if you're not going to go and talk to girls, if you're not going to reach out to girls, then you're just not going to benefit, right? Because, well, you're going to benefit, but you're not going to benefit to the same extent. We'll be able to talk about some of your deeper issues, and we can shift some things, but it's just something to keep in mind. You will get more out of this the more action you're willing to take. And you have to want it. Like, you have to actually really want it. Like, if you don't know if you really want it, you're kind of like, I'm not sure. Like, if you want the reward, not the sacrifice, it's just not going to work. I can accelerate your dating life, but if you're not going to talk to women, it's a waste of both of our times, frankly. So, one final testimonial I threw on here. I know this is getting long, so we're going to wrap up. But this is A, age 28. And Pat taught me seduction in a way that naturally aligned with the strengths of my personality and taught me how to read subcommunication. He taught me to lead not just through my actions, but psychologically through frame, right? That's one thing I didn't mention before, but I don't make you into like my little mini caricature. Like, I know your personality, I figured that out very quickly, and I know what your strengths and your weaknesses are as a result, and I help you to calibrate your game per your personality, because we don't want your persona, right, to be overcompensating from your personality. Like, we don't want you to be leading by persona, because that's how you become transactional in your dating. So as we develop your persona, we want to make sure it's aligned with your personality, which will also be developing at the same time. So, what makes Pat's coaching unique is he doesn't provide a cookie cutter solution and will encourage you to create your own style based on the strengths of your personality. He pushes you to become independent of his advice. I'd highly recommend working with him. Yeah, I do not like working with guys for more than half a year, and I really try to make sure that that happens, because I want to make sure that you outgrow me. I don't want you to keep you in my little guru circle forever. Become an independent guy and, learn from me and then continue your journey, right? I want you to really get dating more or less tackled, get the fundamentals there, so it's just a matter of you going out and practicing later on. It's about really fixing the problem once and for all, not giving you a couple of tactics, and that's the reason why it's such a valuable thing, coaching with me. So if you're interested, it's www.patstedman.com/application. That's Pat, STEDMAN.com/application. Yeah, it doesn't need to be said, but obviously for my retainer clients, it's a lot of work because they have pretty much unlimited access to me. So it's a limited amount of people I can work with at a time. So I recommend you fill it out now, because once the spaces for the week fill up, you're going to get pushed back further. And also, as we said, this is a time for action. So don't let this opportunity pass you by. Don't fall back into a state of fear. Fill out an application. We'll jump on a 30 to 45-minute phone call if the application's a good fit, and we'll get going. That's patstedman.com/application.